back to the Convo Couch. I am Fiorella Isabel, and I am hosting the exclusive that came on would represent each player and so on. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're just going to play, and we thought it'd be fun to actually just play for fun. These people are representing each other, and today we have Cullen Tiernan. He was a former press assistant for Tulsi Gabbard. And we have Jamarl Thomas, a fellow YouTuber, journalist, and host of the show, The Progressive Soapbox. And we also, lastly but not least, have Graham Elwood, who is the host of The Political Vigilante. He's also a comedian and fellow Rokfiner as well. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. So, with the Dems all now backing Joe Biden, Uncle Joe, we thought it would be fun to look back at what some of the previous candidates have said this election season. And so this is how it works. So our main category for the show tonight will be Who Said That? And tonight specifically, Who Said That on the campaign trail? I'm going to start left to right, beginning with Cullen, and read you a quote or tweet that we found, and you have the opportunity to guess who said it out of the choices. In this case, we have the 4 candidates who said the quote. If you get the answer correctly, you get 2 points. If you get it wrong, we ask the next person in line, and they have the opportunity to answer it. Then if they get it that wrong, the next person has the opportunity to answer it. So previously, like I said, we've had viewers pick one of our lovely guests to represent them. Tonight, we just encourage our viewers to represent a guest. No prizes this time, but we will get started soon. Do you guys get what I'm saying now?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, got it. Are we waiting for some people to come in, or are we just going to? Okay, so we're just going to get started right away. So who said this on the campaign trail? The choices are Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren, or Marianne Williamson. So Cullen, let's be clear. Whenever someone hears the term Medicare for all who want it, it really means Medicare for all who can afford it. Medicare for all is the gold standard. That's how we make sure everyone gets health care. Hashtag Dem debate.
What are the options again? It's Marianne Williamson.
So again, the options are Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren, and Marianne Williamson.
I'll go with Tulsi.
You're going to go with Tulsi Gabbard. And that answer is... Oh, Cullen got it wrong.
Wow.
I'm sorry, Cullen. That answer is not Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, so next is going to be Graham. Jamarl, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's Elizabeth Warren. I'm going to win this contest like nobody's business.
Elizabeth. Oh, look at that cockiness. Elizabeth Warren is the correct answer. Okay. So now we go back to Jamarl, right? Jamarl's next. Okay.
Excellent.
Got it.
Just to
So
rack up some points.
Jamarl is winning. Oh, Johnny, you know what? I don't have. Okay. So Johnny's keeping the score right now,
Excellent.
and Jamarl is winning. So the next question. Self-appointed President Agnes is suppressing opposition in Bolivia, the country now descending into violence after a coup against Evo Morales. The United States must stand on the side of the people and demand free democratic elections. Is the answer A, Bernie Sanders, B, Tulsi Gabbard?
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders?
Yes.
Final answer? Okay.
Final answer.
Ooh, Jamarl, who's so confident. That answer is incorrect. Okay.
What? Okay.
So, Graham, you have the opportunity to answer this right. Let me go over what your options are. Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren, or Marianne Williamson. I can read it one more time. Self-appointed President Áñez is suppressing opposition in Bolivia, the country now descending into violence after a coup against Evo Morales. The United States must stand on the side of the people and demand free democratic elections.
Jamal said Bernie, right?
He did.
That would be Elizabeth Warren.
Wrong.
words there that sound like her. So
Okay.
I'll go with my final answer.
Ooh. Midwest this
Oh, it's
year.
Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the other
Okay.
person who said Midwest, every other word.
Yes, that was Amy Klobuchar.
It was between
Ooh.
those two stiffs. I was like one of those two stiffs that
that, we're under a pandemic, we're under quarantine, and everybody's endorsed Joe Biden, right? So we have Cullen, who is Tulsi's press secretary, Graham, who was a light supporter of hers until her endorsement of Joe Biden, and Jamarl, who was also a light supporter, and all of you guys also liked Bernie Sanders. So with Tulsi Gabbard's endorsement of Joe Biden, and now Bernie Sanders doing the same and like 10,000 times worse, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what led to the progressive movement to this. And I'm going to start with Cullen and then Jamarl and Graham. So Cullen.
I mean, I guess I would say it's involved, like getting involved with the Democratic Party itself, and like there's certain rules that are set in place that make it so it's not going to be a comfortable experience for you, and like even if you're like riding a really nice wave, eventually that wave may crash, and you'll have to like deal with the Tom Perez's of the world. But that's part of the gamble you take, I feel like, when you get involved in the first place, and and I don't think it's anybody's fault like that they
regardless of what happens, will be blue no matter who. And it doesn't matter what they say, doesn't matter how they attack you, doesn't necessarily matter how they attack your policy. It is in 2020. Each and every one of these candidates were willing to go to a brokered convention in order to lose the race for Sanders, if that meant that they could beat Sanders, even if it meant losing to Donald Trump. They were willing to go that route. But lefties, from their standpoint, is willing to basically say accountability and principle matter less, and basically stopping whatever the random Republican is matters more, meaning there's no accountability in the process for lefties to hold the left or to hold the Democratic Party accountable, meaning the party just moves further and further to the right. I would say that the lefty, that has brought us to where we are right now. If you're looking for why we're in the predicament that we are now, where the left is kind of dispersed without having any real avatar at this moment.
Yeah. It seems like the left, or what we would consider the progressive left, which has now, the name has been co-opted largely by the establishment, gave up easily. And I'm speaking about Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard because, Graham, you were a huge, not a huge, but you were a decent supporter of Tulsi Gabbard, and then were very vocal about how upset you were when she endorsed Joe Biden. But then subsequently Bernie Sanders has done the same thing. So what are your thoughts on how we got here as well?
Well, just to be clear, I called them both sellouts, and I will take that to my grave. And that, for me, this was like my last. I've been an independent for years, and I even voted as an independent in 2016 for Bernie because I'm in a state that has open primaries, and I only registered to be at the Democratic Party this time in the primary because they purged independent, provisional ballots in California. So I'm totally done with the Democratic Party, and I think Jamarl brought up great points, which is the Clintons are the problem. whatever, Churchill, and I'm not saying those two guys are perfect. They've done plenty of things, but in those moments, they stood and rose to the occasion. And Bernie said, well, my friend Joe Biden, and it's just like, I'm done. I'm done playing nice. I will never vote for a big ticket Republican again, or a Democrat, either one of those parties. Fuck them. It's the same. It's the same difference. Yeah, it's just the Democratic Party is just mostly pro-choice. That's it. That's the difference. So, and I don't care. You know, I got a lot of respect for Noam Chomsky, but I don't know what he's thinking endorsing Joe Biden.
Yeah, Chomsky is wrong. Chomsky is entirely wrong. I mean, like, consider what we know for the moment. I mean, over the last 40, 50 years, lefties have basically taken that policy. And you went from somebody like Bob Dole to George W. Bush to Donald Trump. What's the pattern here? They're getting worse. And then you have an ineffectual Democratic Party. Why? Because you've never had to hold your political leaders accountable. So now when you actually need them to do something and to represent your interests, they don't do it because they've never had to do it, especially over the last 40, 50 years.
And they have no reason. They have no reason to do it because you're not holding them accountable.
They have no reason to do it. They already have you vote. Like in 2020, they literally went beyond hitting the candidate and went into hitting lefties. Like that was mind blowing. Like they until otherwise nothing changes in regards to lefties getting their policy parties. I just don't think it happens.
Yeah. And so a lot. Oh, go ahead, Cullen.
Yeah, just do a quick honorary shout out to the Shadow app and its producers.
But
because that, I mean, I think that speaks to the integrity they instilled into the system, as well as the nefarious motives. But I would just push back slightly and say, like, I kind of look at it in the vein of, like, I mean, Graham, you might have been more aware or involved in this, but when Jesse Jackson first ran,
Sanders, for whatever reason, didn't even load his weapon. I don't even think he took his weapon to a knife fight, for that matter. But you know, the secondary question becomes, now what? And I would make the case that the way that the left needs to organize from here on out is to push policy and to not deal with issues of party and this other stuff. Focus on 3 or 4 policies that are popular from the standpoint of the public and refuse the race to the bottom. Meaning, stop this notion that you're willing to accept whatever you're given, because that willingness to accept whatever you're given kills you. Like Sanders running in this race, the public couldn't even have this kind of larger imagination of the government potentially handling Medicare for all and all of this other stuff. In their heads, we haven't seen this take place in our lifetime, meaning he was injured to some degree just because the unimagination
totally agree with that. That kind of reminds me of the general strike or yellow vest movement.
Yes.
You pick certain choices, certain policies that you want pushed through, and you create a mass movement outside of the electoral world, because a lot of the change that we have seen throughout history comes from actual mass movements, not from the electorate. And I think people have forgotten that you can actually change things outside the electorate. Graham, you're wearing your yellow vest. What do you think about this? What do you think we can do?
I think Jamarl brings up great points, and in reference to the Tea Party, the lesson to be learned from them, what the Tea Party did. I mean, now they did it within the Republican Party. I don't think you do anything with, like I said, you can't do anything within the parties. But what the Tea Party did is what Jamal's talking about. They said to Republicans, you get what we want or we fucking make you lose. We're going to walk if you don't get what we want. And that's the problem. Progressives have been like, oh, thank you. You took away some of the superdelegates. Thank you for letting me eat in your garbage cans after your kid's birthday party. Like, so we need to do exactly what Jamal's talking about. And on social media and on all of our shows, I'm going to do that exact thing. You helped Trump win. Yeah, you're damn right. So you need to start listening to us, or we're going to make sure you keep losing. We want Medicare for all. We're not taking a half step of that. Why do we have to concede? The goddamn billionaire ruling class, they don't have to concede shit. Why do we keep having to concede? So we're not going to. And we will make you lose. And all you can send a dozen Joe Bidens or wrap up Cuomo and pretend that he didn't shut down 20,000 hospital beds in New York and gut Medicare for all in New York.
definitely a conversation that should take place, and they're trying to hide it right now as
really,
we
who is
speak.
this?
Like so you know who Eric Ballman is?
No.
Okay, so he is a former chair, and like he got elected after Bernie, so like progressives got tricked into voting for him, and he beat Kimberly Ellis, and now he's kicked out because he used his position to like rape lots and lots of kids and like really bad stuff, and they won't
Are you
even
serious?
Yeah.
And this is the California Democratic Party, and like
Wow.
this is their behavior. I mean, Ed Buck, do you know about this guy?
Ed Buck sounds familiar.
He's the guy that
So he's friends with Eric Ballman. Like you should like the Stonewall Democrats in LA kind of control the whole state party. And like it started from a good place because Stonewall obviously is important and like historic in American consciousness and like LGBTQ rights. But the way it's manipulated with lots of money in LA is questionable behavior.
Yeah, these people were found. Ed Buck was found with multiple black youth dead in his West Hollywood apartment, and he had
I remember this guy now. Yes,
close ties to the ex chair. So yeah, it's California isn't the beacon of progressivism that they make themselves out to be. So it's not surprising that these characters are found in there. I just don't know. I mean, I'm not against people working locally, like in their own, area. I think we need more of that. We also need to focus on people like Shahid Buttar, beating Nancy Pelosi, because that's a hugely important race. I mean, we can even bring up that it's far more important than people are giving it credit for, because it doesn't matter how many Congress people we get elected when they're not standing up to Nancy Pelosi, and Nancy Pelosi controls everything. So really, unseating Pelosi is extremely important.
And I'm in Virginia right now, and to you guys' points earlier about the Tea Party, that's exactly what they did. They had Eric Cantor, this Virginia fundraiser, who they beat with their Tea Party
Dave
people,
Brett.
and suddenly the Republicans stepped in line.
Yeah, Dave Brett. Yep. They scared the hell out of Eric Cantor. But see, this is kind of my point. Like, why it's look, personally, I think I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's both. Meaning, I think you do need to have some influence, meaning or some when in the political space that cares. Like, for example, what would Sanders have done during Occupy Wall Street as opposed to Obama? Those are dramatically different scenarios. Sanders would have used that as a moonshot moment in order to kind of push through his policy agenda. Obama turned around and just attacked those various, or worked with state governments in order to attack those places. So I don't think it's as straightforward as entirely outside of it. But I do think from the standpoint of the left in regards to getting your policy agenda accomplished, that being outside of the political space and pressuring the political space with this notion that, look, for example, because Joe Biden
I agree with you all on all these points. One thing that I do think for me personally is the main thing that I think will get us everything we want is to demand have a mass movement of workers, general strikes, all of that. In that include election reform, completely, entirely reform the way our elections are run, reform, make them open, make them fair. We right now don't have a fair shake at the system, and it doesn't matter that we want all these things if we don't change the way our elections are run because they're so corrupt, we're never going to get anything done. And so that's kind of like my final point is like I'm all for going outside the electorate to demand that these changes happen, to hold these people accountable in whichever way you want to hold them accountable. I think that's honestly the next step that we really, really need to take. So thanks, guys, for being here. Thanks for playing. And congrats, Cullen, on winning trivia. And we'll see you guys here next Wednesday at 5.
Sounds good. Let's take down the Secretary of State.
Bye, guys.
Hey, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks.